Mayday, Mayday. Hello, and welcome to this special episode of the Johnson Mclang Show. Now you're probably wondering, hey, I thought you were done with the series now that Trump's back, and that's what I thought too, but the liberals are going wild again, like I thought they would, and we probably should have known, and the why knows, but I didn't know that they were going to be this crazy. Burning, destroying people's, companies, personal property, like Teslas, and not being peaceful. Well, we should have known this was coming after what we saw in 2020 during the riots of Black Lives Matter, which destroyed multiple facilities, companies, small businesses that people have worked so hard to get to, that were all just struggling during the during the lockdowns at the time. So we should have known that they were going to destroy property. All over election results. That didn't go their way. No, they're going to go ahead and say that we did the same thing with our protest on January 6th. They keep talking about that all the time. But we didn't destroy personal property. We didn't destroy, and I don't believe we're the ones that actually did that. I still think it was Antifa, but that's a whole different story. But we didn't destroy multiple people's property like they're doing. We didn't destroy small businesses and Wyatt and had big, gigantic protests. And technically, if you think about it, the Capitol is our property. We pay for it. We pay taxes for it. And we can do whatever we want to our property. But that's just my personal opinion. But they destroyed other people's personal property that does not belong to them. People's small businesses and companies. And they did it then and they're doing it now. I think that's worse than the Capitol building. Which I don't think was, I have lots of feelings about that. But anyway, but that'll be for a different time. And I'm telling everybody to settle down, calm down, tone it down a little bit, and let's just have peaceful protests. I don't care, you have your right to do so, but it has to be peaceful. And I'm telling everybody to calm down, settle down, to educate themselves, and I'm here to educate people. And to basically tell everybody to STFU. Okay, so that's what I said it. Settle down and listen for about 18 minutes that I'm doing this for. And let's just settle down. They're all about joy and unity and wanting peace. I thought that's what the Dems wanted, but apparently not. They had this whole campaign about unity and they're all about not wanting division, but they're the ones that are rioting these businesses over cutting reckless spending. That's what they're upset about, is Doge and having an efficient government that does not use their or our tax dollars wisely or efficiently, and has raised our debt millions and millions of dollars that we're going to have a long time to pay off. And our children are going to have to suffer and pay off our debt that we're spending right now. So it's time to cut back our spending. That's what they're the main upset about is Doge. And how crazy. Is that really the worst thing that can possibly happen? So this is why I'm back, because they have lost their minds. And they're upset because their party is out of control and they're losing popularity. Democrats are only have a 29% approval rating, 21% approval rating. We're really high up in the charts. They're disappointed because they had to F around and find out, and they found out on November 5th, and that wokeness does not work in their favor. And they're upset that Trump won the popular vote and the electoral college and won all 7 swing states, and there's a reason for it. And they're upset that we got 79 million votes and they only have 74 million votes. They thought that they could rig the election again, and they thought that Harris was going to win. But she was this brat and this big popular figure, and technically she kind of was. She did bring some new light to the Democrat Party after Biden. But the wokeness wasn't going to cut it. And we had major issues, and we still have some issues, which we're working on to get through. They're just upset that they couldn't win the popular vote, they couldn't win. But we won because we had a strong message. And we had someone that cared for our country, that he had to dodge 2 bullets for running for president and having a different opinion than him. And that's crazy in itself. He's a fighter and he was strong, and that's why he won. And I think American people, we're fed up with chaos and crisis in the previous 4 years, and we didn't want to go back. And we didn't. Thank God we didn't. Thank God we have this administration, Trump 2.0, which is doing amazing. We are at the 100-day mark, and it's overall pretty good. We're cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from our government. And by the way, the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Democrats back in the day and even Obama tried to and supported Doge. They supported cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. There's many clips in the past them wanting this. But all of a sudden, now that we have MAGA and Republicans and Trump in charge, wanted to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. It's a bad thing. Their object does not make sense. All of a sudden, they want to support something, and then now they don't. They're foot floppers. It's crazy. And so that's one thing I want to point out. And they said, but our crisis is where we had illegal immigration. We had high inflation, high prices. And they're saying that Trump was going to fix this prices on day one. He did not promise on day one he was going to lower prices. He said within a year or so. And that's realistic, because, and I'll get into it in a little bit. And they said that the prices, everything's through the roof. But yes, that was left over from Biden. Biden did lots of damage to our economy by cutting off our energy independence, which rose the gas prices, which rose the oil prices, which rose the goods and services of our nation. Because when gas and diesel is high, makes shipping of our goods and services expenses, which makes goods and services more expensive. And yes, the lockdowns and pandemic and war, and if we had a will, it wasn't just Biden. Other factors put into inflation too. But he could have, prevented it himself by not cutting off the Keystone pipeline and not shutting down oil pipelines, which rose inflation, rose the prices of goods and services. And by the way, we are now drilling, and I love it. We're being more independent, which is what we need to be. We're not relying on, we are somewhat still relying on, because it's going to take time, on other nations, but we're putting America first. We're being energy independent now. Maybe we can even be energy dominant. That's our hope. So we can lower inflation, lower prices. It's going to take time. Lots of damage has been done over the last 4 years. I want you to think about Obama and going into Trump's first term. Obama, prices were, inflation was still high during Obama. There was high prices. Gas prices were through the roof during the end of Obama going into Trump. At the beginning of Trump 1.0, prices were expensive. However, with his policies, cutting red tape, cutting regulation, and creating the Keystone pipeline and other pipelines to be energy independent, in the first term and his policies, we were able to lower inflation and have low costs and have low gas prices. And then Biden came in, did the same Obama policies, did the same regulation, did the same bad policies, and got us into an energy crisis, which made inflation through the roof. With other factors, of course, which is not totally his fault, but he had a role to play in it as well. Now, damage has been done on day one, and they said that he didn't do nothing on day one. Actually, he did sign executive order on day one to lower prices and lower inflation for the American people. Remember when he was at the Capital One Arena, and they made fun of that too. So what if he was at the Capital One Arena? Anyway, he signed on day one, either there or in the White House, it don't matter, that to have his agencies and his departments try to do things now to lower inflation. So he did do steps on day one, and he's still taking steps. He's only been there for 100 days. And inflation has gone down, is at 2.9% compared to where it was. We're making progress, but we have to be patient. Just like we had to be patient after Obama, we have to still be patient now. And I know it's hard. I know it's rough. I get it. But we have to be patient, because results will be shown eventually. Another thing, which is this hypocritical and crazy, yes, the stock market was kind of in a bad mood a couple weeks ago, and people made a big deal about it. But during the last administration, we had lots of issues with the stock market, and there was concerns. And technically, I think we were in a recession, but the Democrats didn't want to admit it. But when the stock market was in a crisis under Biden, no one made a big deal about it. When we thought we were in a recession before, no one made a big deal about it. But all of a sudden, when the economy gets kind of in a mood, which it does at time, is a big deal now. There's fear of recession now. But now they're making a big deal of it. But when we were in high inflation and bad economy under Biden and Democrats control, they didn't make a big deal about it. So that's hypocritical too. That's who they are. And if we do go in recession, the American people were strong. We dealt with it before. It's not going to be depression. It's going to get better. And yes, the tariffs disrupted it. And I might have to make this a part 2 because I'm running out. It's dying down here. But I'll try to do my best here. Yes, it disrupted the market a little bit. But at the State of the Union address, Trump admitted that there was going to be a transition. We're still in transition. That there was going to be disruption. He was honest. This administration is honest and transparent. Unlike the last administration or any other Democrat administration that was not truthful or not honest about fears of recession or transition or disruption. They hid it, and they said that the economy was fine when inflation was 4-year high. So, but we're not hiding it. He said at that State of the Union, and he admitted to it, that there was going to be some disruption in markets and the economy with these tariffs. But tariffs are a great thing. We dealt with tariffs before during the first term because they bring jobs here and labor here for the American people. Companies come to us when they face tariffs, and they are. And companies are putting investments, $1 trillion. We have $5 trillion of investment into this nation. We're going to have a bunch of jobs here due to the tariffs. Companies are going to come here, and they're starting to come here again. And people's wages will go up eventually. But we have to be patient. It takes time. It's a process. But we have to have fair trade and fair agreements with other nations. That's why we need tariffs. Because if they're going to do it to us, then we can do it to them. Unless they're willing to negotiate, and hopefully, and some nations have already caved in to us and negotiated with us and made good, fair deals. We need to have fair dealings with our nation, with our allies. Allies need to support one another, but they're not supporting us. We're supporting them all the time, but where's their support back from our allies? We need tariffs to bring jobs here, to raise people's wages, and it will improve the economy once the transition gets done. And I'm going to have to end it here, and I'll be back with a part 2.